Good morning, everyone. Good morning, all colleagues. My name is Malaku. Today, I'll present you how to write a concept note for project or research. So, a person or my colleagues who is not subscribe this channel, please subscribe Bogana channel, share and like and comment to this channel. So I'll present you how preparation of the concept paper, maybe a project, maybe a research. This allows you to prepare a concept note for a project or research. What is a concept note? A concept note is a brief description of your proposal or your project. It is a preliminary document that set out or explain what your proposal or your project is about and why it's being undertaken and how it will be carried out. Concept paper examines a data or an idea and provides an overview of a researcher or a project wants to be embarked on. Concept paper is structured as outlined, a table of as a title, a project summary, a statement of the problem and project objectives, methods, expected results, work plan, and budget with timeline and reference. So this is what concept notes mean. Why a concept note is right? Why write a concept note? Concept notes are typically prepared by the entrepreneurs or working on a project or as a research for a student or a researchers in academic or a project financiers to write this concept note. So such documents are aimed at secure feedbacks on the researcher or ideas and seeking a potential for financiers or investors or funders. So this document helps to determine whether a project data is feasible or not. So we write this concept note as discussed previously. Why write a concept note? Why we write a concept note? So we have right to this concept note for the purpose of, or concept note is important to explore and expand ideas, to draw the interest of funding agencies or financiers to identify possible flaws or gaps beforehand, to serve as the foundation of the full proposal, to help a project or a researcher sticks to a project timely. Let us discuss each these components separately to explore or expand an idea. What does it mean? Investors assume an investors or the investigate or a financer or a researcher can use a concept note to transform an anticipate research idea into a focused, high quality study or a proposal. So the concept note obtain a feedback that can be used to strengthen a potential at large stage. It gives an idea of this researcher to draw the interest of funding agencies. This means through an efficient concept note, an investigator can justify why their project is worthy of funding. If the project is within the mission of the funding body and has a potential to advance the field of the investigators, has a higher chance of success in obtaining the required grant. So it is important to the interest of the funding agencies. The other one, to identify the potential flaws or gaps beforehand. This means putting in time and an effort in writing a concept note will help us to develop a focused description of a project and will allow the researchers to examine a problem from all angles. At each stage, experts or funders might spot a potential gap and weakness in the proposed project. Accordingly, a researcher can identify solutions or improve the project proposal in terms of goals and methodology. So to identify the potential flaws in this way. The other one, to serve as a foundation of a full proposal. This means a concept note is a preliminary as it precedes a full proposal. A funding agency often asks for a concept note before the full proposal submissions. This helps us assess whether the defined experimental method are appropriate and can be performed within a specific time frame drawn up from the project. The other one, to help researchers strike to project timeline. Concept note defines a timeline, secure financial support, which helps to investigator to keep the project on track, manage the time effectively, and reach the targeted beneficiary successfully. So this is the reason why write a concept note. The next, how long is a concept note? A concept note written as a part of funding applications may be over 10 pages in length. If you have a project proposal for financiers or a funder, your proposal applications a maximum not over than 10 page. If a concept note is formatted and is usually 4 and 5 pages in length, for a student written a proposal for maybe or undergraduate, for masters and PhD projects. The format and the flow of a concept note could depend on the type of project and explained outcomes. A funding body's requests a project concept might provide a template or format which could be adhered to. However, if the template or format are not specified, a concept note may be structured according to the chief element described below. So, this is the structure of a concept note. It contains, first one, a title. Why a title is, what types of title is important for this concept note? Title of a researcher or investigator must reflect clearly the sensitivity or concisely the area of the research that is to be embarked on. So, title is the most important and the critical parts of your research. So, we have to determine our titles in explanatory and when standing alone. The other one is project summary. What a project summary is included on the structure of the concept note. A project summary can be contained the following as follows. What is the content or background that gives rise to the project or the research? Sectors and institutional context of the project, discussion or briefly discussions or describe about the sectoral context of that project, the selected project. indicate and justify the existing challenges or encountered problems that the project aims to address. Challenges. Describe the feasibility of the project, take into account. So under this, we have to write briefly on the project summary part. The other one, statement of the problem. On this part, describe the scope of the problem and its urgency. What is the scope and its importance? What are the relevant past initiatives in the region or in the country or in the city? And what challenges remain? Justify or clarify why the proposed project is needed and why it is needed for now. And coordination of development pattern such as NGOs and governmental sectors and other stakeholders on this project. And state the significance of the project or the importance of the project. Explain why your project is important and impactful. Identify the problems with solutions. And what are the target beneficiaries of this project or the stakeholders of direct beneficiaries and indirect beneficiaries of the project should be discussed on this part. Next, the project objectives and strategies, the project or the research, can say the research. On this part, the concept note should be discussed as follows. What is the objective of the project? The objective may be general objective or a specific objective. Should be clearly discussed and narrated. And also present the change theory of change. On this part, why this project is the importance and its impact. What is the strategy and the achievement to the objectives? And we have to name and describe each component, each project component and the subcomponents of the project. So, what are detailed outputs, outcomes, outputs, activities, targets, indicators should be discussed briefly on this part. why is the chosen approach the best to address the problem? What evidence or lessons learned from the previous project support this? And what opportunities to do you have to seize through the project? Yes. Opportunities. What are the opportunities? And what assumptions is the strategy or the project objective is based on? So this part should be clearly discussed on the objectives and the strategies of the project concept note or the research part. The other one, proposed methods. That means methods or materials and methods. On this part, we have to describe technical solutions retained and other alternatives explained. So, what are the options? What options? What are the alternatives? Maybe a project they have different alternatives. Maybe alternative 1 or 2. So what are these different alternatives for this project should be clearly discussed and mentioned. So this part should be clearly described as stated. So provide a clear outline of a research approach, methods, and implementation plan. Describe extent and appropriate of the project research and methods to address the identified research gap. So on this part, it should be clearly defined and noted. Another point is expected result and output. On this part, we have to discuss, determine the continue of the project. That is means continuation of the project is continuous and sustainabilities. Potential social impact of utilization of the proposed research outputs. Provide activities, indicators, baselines, target how the expected outcome and output will be measured, and project target, area and population beneficiaries, and other stakeholders should be addressed clearly. So this could be clearly noted and identified. So on the work plan, on the budget part, here we have to discuss on the implementation work plan and the timeline. on this part, we have to discuss what the project should be. Activities with budget. The work plan should be activity with timeline and budget. So explain the detailed works to be addressed on this part. So we have to address this. Explain what the objective, the overall cost of this project is. Discuss the reliability of investment cost project estimate. Emphasize what leverage and co-financing opportunities are used to enhance the development impact of the project. Indicate any co-financing has been secured and confirm if so what are their processing time frame, especially approval process in case of co-financing is not. So provide a realistic time frame. Provide a reasonable budget. So when you describe this budget and time frame, we have to take into consider on the how the project will be implemented. So the implementation should be clearly noted and identified before we go to the activity work plan and the budget. So on this part, we have to show as discussed previously. So as discussed previously, this concept note should always focus and show about the implementation. Because about the implementation part address the institutional arrangement, which institutions and national entity will be responsible for the implementing, and show also the monitoring and evaluation. That means explain the institutional arrangement of the project monitoring, M&D capacity, assumptions, and the types of M&D system. And what is the evidence that a client for a researcher of that project will owned after existence, after exit. And also we have to consider risks, risk management. That means what are the major risks during the life of the project and the potential risks. And we have to include a cross-cutting issue such as gender mainstreaming and environmental and social safeguards and other cross-cutting issues. So we have to take into account in this. So these issues are basic for in preparation of the concept note. So this part is important when you're preparing the concept note. So on this one, I discussed previously. It's already discussed as I mentioned on above. So in conclusion, this guide gives you an overview of the key elements you need to know what about when you writing a concept note, funding applicants and researcher. The purpose of this concept note structure to convey to the readers what your project proposed is and why your project topic is important. This is based on the development of a problem statement using the evidence from previous literatures or articles. Concept note targets your concept note is target to the reviewer in a field or a potential collaborations or partners. It should be tailored accordingly. So it can be technical language. When prepared the concept note, used technical language. If the audience comprises a potential sponsor or a funder, concept note should be streamlined and keeping in mind their priorities and requests. Such a version should contain minimal jargon and can be easily digestible by non-specialist or any experts. In general, structure of a concept note must be formatted as should be not more than 5 pages for researchers and 10 pages for project financiers, and should be focused on this issue as you have shown on the right hand of this slide. So and otherwise which doesn't follow the format means just I discussed. That means if it's not targeted for the reviewers, if it's not tailored and used technical language, it's not rational. If it is not minimal jargon, and if it is not accessed, it should be not accessed for more than 10 pages. It is easy to adjustable by non-specialists, and you should be looking for. Otherwise, which doesn't follow this format will be rejected and will not to be considered for evaluations. So this is all about concept note writing or preparation for a project and a researcher. To highlight or an overview for anyone who wants to write a concept note on the project proposal or financer or a researcher or for university students, undergraduate or postgraduate or PhD students will enable. So next I will come back with another sections. Thank you for your listening. If you like this video, please don't forget to subscribe to this Bogana channel. Thank you very much. See you